healing's not linear. And sometimes we just need to sit and process to figure out exactly what it is we're looking for. Yeah, build foundation to self. I don't know why I was called to look at that particular block. But the foundation to self is what we're rebuilding as we're coming into healing things that we thought had already been healed, and allowing ourselves to be in a more restful state, so that way we can start healing some of the things that create a stronger foundation to self. I'm gonna go ahead and roll the dice. Right, so 296. So this is trying to balance yourself through making connections that bring you harmony. So like trying to find that inner peace and trying to make sure that the things that are happening in our lives are not causing problems for us that go against that foundation. And that's why some of these things, healing's not linear, is because we are trying to decide what is helping us and then what is hindering us. And we've been talking about this kind of stuff as we've been going, but this is definitely on the lines of healing's not linear, understanding that we are processing things that we might have felt like we've already healed, but that's okay. You know, it might feel a little chaotic now, but it's going to even back out. We're going to find those things that bring us that passion again, and that the things that bring us harmony. You know, we're going to balance, we're going to connect with those things again that bring us that inner peace. And that's why I keep saying that this is about passion. Interesting. So the cards coming through is misplaced fear, loss, whimsiness. Imagination is what it more or less feels like, imagination. And then those desires are what we're trying to manifest. So I have to start over with some of the reading, but I'm not going to give up. So one of the things that I had pulled here was influence. So what we are allowing ourselves to be influenced by is really important right now, as we're trying to seek that balance and connection and harmony and that inner peace. So if we are consuming a lot of like bad material, such as like scrolling, having that emotional roller coaster, or we're surrounded by people that aren't supportive, like whatever that influence is, can definitely affect that inner peace and the ability to balance. I pulled this card next, which is obviously balance. So this one is upside down. So it's, you know, we're already saying that we're reading for trying to create balance in our lives. We're trying to connect to those things that bring us that harmony. This is what is robbing us of that balance, is this influence. We also need to be paying attention to what we are investing in, what seeds we are putting in towards our environment. Like, what are we trying to put towards? You know, do we want to put energy towards the scrolling? What we are investing in as far as these influences, or as far as just energy, and being aware of that. They're talking about making sure that we're advocating for and using our voice in a way that that being the driver force of our energy. So, okay, we're back to drawing cards again because, like I said, the thing stopped recording. But yeah, making sure we're advocating for ourselves against those thorns, those people that might not be there for us in the way that we want. Choosing growth. So I talk about like growth being very difficult when we're surrounded by thorns. A choice to grow is to push through those thorns and come into new thorns. It hurts more to grow than it is to stay the same. But choosing growth, choosing to come into new thorns, choosing to have to scrape against those thorns to move into a new location, choosing growth sometimes is absolutely the hardest path, the harder path, but it is worth investing in that growth. Let's see. We're talking about the whimsy side of you on this one. So make sure that we're soaring so we can get back into feeling like we are achieving what we want to achieve. I was just listening to a reading before I jumped on here, and it kind of inspired me to get on. Didn't even finish the reading. And one of the things that they had said was that we need to remember that things should come easy. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was like the first 5 seconds of the reading. And I was like, yeah, I did forget that. When it comes to the things that we love, it should feel like it's coming easy. And this one is calm. So we're having a hard time with that calmness. Like we're pushing forward and we are not allowing ourselves to come into that ease, right? We want that ease. We should be coming in a way that like we have that peace and tranquility. But like as you can see, like it's a snail, but it's a snail with legs, and we could be tempted to avoid the calm in order to speed through. So we're being reminded to go in the pace in which we need to, and not think that we need to be going faster than we can. Yeah, we need to remember who we are. So this is divinity. So this is reminding you of your own divinity, your own strength, who you are, and not losing that in the process. So this is about growing. It's about knowing who you are, not losing yourself, not trying to push through and try to make things more difficult. Let me see what we got here from this card here. This feels like unicorn energy. So I'm coming out with these two. So the voice is heard in the world. That's what I was talking about with the advocation. Advocate for yourself. Put yourself out there. Speak your truth. I am loved and protected. I'm loved and protected. So knowing that there are going to be people that are going to hear what we're saying, and then they're also going to be on a very similar path, and they're going to love what you're saying, and they're not going to be like we're used to seeing, where people are going to be more thorns. So if we don't put ourselves out there, if we don't speak up and tell everyone who we are, then we don't get to meet this loving and protecting group. So that is the harmony that we're looking for, is that like as we are more open about who we are, what we want, what we desire, then we're going to find that alignment. But we have to get away from these negative influences, those things that disrupt our balance. We need to stop investing in these types of people. Yeah. Communication. Communicate with who you are. Tell people who you are so that way they can find you. It's howling at the moon. But it's about like just being loud in a way that allows people to find you. And I'm not talking about screaming at the top of your lungs. I'm just talking about choosing growth and choosing to soar. And as you are soaring, as you're remembering your own divinity, remembering that things should be coming more easy, you should be able to be calm about it. And that is like, people are allowed to dislike us. They're allowed to not be a part of our lives. So now I feel like we're coming into the grief deck. Yeah, it's okay to to rest. I was talking about that ebb and flow of the needing sometimes to remember that healing is not linear. And we got rest at the bottom of the deck, which you are still worthy even if breathing is all you can do today. So that is to say that like what we do is what we need to do. If we need to rest, it's okay to go with the pace that we need to go, and to remain calm, and to understand that sometimes we need to rest and other times we need to soar, and it's okay to do what we need to do. Oh, I haven't seen this card before. Ooh, worried. I wanted to flip it the wrong way, and there was a bit of an unease. Be able to welcome the tears, it says. Patiently wait for the tears to come. When they arrive, soften your belly and welcome them. Capture the image of your face while it is still wet and flushed. Visit the image often. Spend time observing the physical manifestation of your grief. Honor its beauty and give it thanks. So this is about loving you in all of your forms. Allowing yourself to feel down when you need to, not be that restful, healing time. To take that time to be able to do that. So this is about processing and not trying to run away from the fact that you're sad, that things didn't work out the way that you wanted. Like one of the things that I talk about is how I wanted a storefront and I wanted to do all these things, but I'm coming to a realization that might not be the path anymore. But don't trick yourself. I think that's what it's saying. Because like as I'm saying that, right, maybe I'm not supposed to do this anymore. Don't Don't close a door before it's ready to close. I feel called out. And that's 50, which is 50, so that is a challenge disconnect. So don't, if it's something you really want, don't give up on it. Don't trick yourself into thinking that it's not possible. So this is about not losing hope as well. So I'm feeling a little called out. We still have that ability to soar, to grow, and maybe things might not look like they align now, but if it is something that we really want, we need to not just trick ourselves into thinking that it's impossible. I want to go. My guides really got me there. Yeah, it's a journey. And sometimes the journey seems more difficult than other times, but we're here to learn. And don't tell yourself things are impossible, or sometimes it makes it more difficult for things to be achieved.